Hey guys, this is Nitesh, and it's been a while since I've actually done anything that involved the camera being there. Yeah, a lot of stuff came up all at once, and kinda calmed down enough that I can get back to making videos at the pace I kinda wanted to, but stuff's still kinda going on. The biggest thing, the thing that kinda messed with my ability to do stuff for this past week was I've been upgrading my computer with stuff I got for my birthday. So I figure, now that for the most part I'm done with that, now I can actually kind of talk a bit about what my computer's like right now. So, I'm going to start with the big recent change. I got a new graphics card, and it's not NVIDIA. It's a Radeon R9 270, which means I've had to figure out how to work around the Catalyst control center instead of the GeForce experience. Basically, the entire time I've been doing stuff with computer, it's been all GeForce. It's been all NVIDIA. So, kind of a big change here. But, frankly, this thing runs circles around what I had before. And it was actually a really nice price. So, this was a definite good move. The one issue that I've had one game that I've tried playing on this that hasn't been too happy with the Radeon card as opposed to an NVIDIA card, and that's Wolfenstein. I was gonna stream it. Anyone who saw that saw, okay, this all just went wrong. And it turns out the big problem is that game doesn't like AMD cards. And it's fine just playing it. I'm hitting 60 frames a second pretty consistently on high settings. It's just whenever I try to record it or stream it or anything, that's when everything goes wrong. So, yeah, a bit of an annoyance, but it's nothing I can't deal with. The other big change, and I don't have a prop for this one, but I did install an SSD on this computer. It's a SanDisk 120 gigabyte. It was on sale, so there was really just no reason not to go for that. If there's one thing that I'm sure you guys have realized about me, I'm really cheap with this kind of stuff. So, huge improvement, not a lot of money. That's a deal. That's a deal right there. Other big recent improvement, new mouse. This thing is a Corsair Sabre RGB. I can use the Corsair thing. It's the Corsair utility engine. And I can remap the buttons. I can change the colors. I can mess with the DPI. This thing is incredibly sensitive. I thought my last mouse was really sensitive. This thing is twice as much. That's all just recent stuff. Now, as for more of the real meat to the system, gotta talk about the motherboard. I didn't actually plan this, but yeah, motherboard. Z97-G45 MSI. That was actually a Christmas present. It was a late Christmas present, but basically I ended up getting that because the motherboard that I had before fried. Frankly, there was a lot that I probably would have... I was gonna go for a different bare bones kit when I got my new computer. And if I did the amount of research on the one I ended up getting that I did into the different, cheaper one, I probably wouldn't have gotten this one. Because this is one that a lot of people have had a lot of problems with. First off, there was the power supply that tanked. Then there was the motherboard, which I don't know if it was because the power supply maybe shorted it out, or if it was just a problem with the motherboard, but it was causing so many problems, and I think some of the RAM ports were bad. I don't really know, because that thing completely fried. If I hooked this up to the computer, not only would it not turn on, but I don't know if I would really want to put my other components through that. Speaking of RAM, current system is running 16 gigabytes. I've got 3 different brands. There's a Patriot Viper 4 gigabyte, which came with the bare bones kit. There's a Data 4 gigabyte, which I picked that one up because it was really cheap. I'm talking under $30 for that, and it was for that price, okay, if this doesn't work out, at least I didn't pay that much for it. And it ended up working out really well. And then the other 8 gigabytes is Kingston Furies. It's a 2-pack of 4 gigabyte RAM cards. And, those would be great just on their own. But considering the fact that, when I'm streaming, I've usually got a bunch of stuff open, plus there's whatever the game needs. Having that extra RAM really kind of does help. With regards to hard drives, I've got that 120 gigabyte SSD that I'm running Windows off of. I've got Windows running off of that. I've got Sony Vegas running off of that because I think... I'm pretty sure running Sony Vegas off of that will help it run a bit faster and a little more stable. I've also got one folder on there just to render stuff to. Just because, it is an SSD. It's got a much better write speed. I'm basically taking everything out of the equation with rendering a video, except the CPU speed. I've got a 1 terabyte hard drive that I'm running all my games and programs off of. It's a full terabyte. It is a perfectly good hard drive. I was using that until I was running Windows off of that until I got the SSD, and there was no problem there. So, really, why just give up on a good thing like that? And I've got an additional 500 gigabyte that's just to kind of take the load off with recording. Fraps, I found this out the hard way with my Mirror's Edge series. If you record to the same hard drive you're running the game from, first off, you're going to eat up that hard drive. Second off, it's going to tank the frame rate. So I've got that 500 gigabyte that's handling the load from Fraps. That's the one that I had problems with before. Like, I was having problems with it. It wasn't a good hard drive to run Windows from. It might actually have been because of the bad power supply. Right now, it's just there as some additional storage space. So if it all goes wrong, the worst that's going to happen is I'll have to tell Fraps to record on a different hard drive. I do have an external hard drive just in case something goes wrong. Really, the most I've used that for in the past few days is when I reinstalled everything on the SSD. I moved a bunch of installers to that just to make sure I could actually just install everything right from there. As for the CPU, it's a Intel Core i5 4430. It's at 3 gigahertz. I don't know if this is one that can really be overclocked. I did look into that, and I read that basically if you tried overclocking it, you wouldn't actually get that much out of it. But really, this one has been fine for me. I'm sure if I ever actually got a chance to use one of the Core i7s with 4 gigahertz, I would be like, no, this is nowhere near enough, but I'm not at that point, This is actually, it's a little better than the one in the family computer, but really only a little. And as for like keyboard and mouse, like I said, the Corsair Sabre for the mouse. And for my keyboard, it's I think it's called a Cooler Master Devastator. At least that's what the bundle was called. I picked up a set. The Cooler Master Devastator came with the keyboard and the mouse. The mouse was fine for a while, and then the scroll wheel got a bit flaky. Now the keyboard is just fine. The one issue that a lot of people might have had about it is, it's backlit. When it's not lit up, you can't really read what the keys say. And the button that toggles the backlighting is the scroll lock. So you basically can't read the keys unless scroll lock is on. But it's like, when does scroll lock ever actually come up for me? And I can't actually think of a time. So anyway, that is the set. Actually, no, wait, I do have more stuff to talk about. Microphone. Microphone is a CAD U37. I ended up picking this up for a pretty low price, and it's actually been really good. I was actually kind of surprised. The one that I use for like streaming from the PlayStation 4, or not as much from the Xbox One, because the Xbox One I actually have a headset, but that is a Samsung Go mic. That was the one I was using for just my normal stuff, but now that I actually have this, there's no problem with just leaving it downstairs. So whenever I want to stream something from the PlayStation 4, I can just plug it in and just go. As for the monitors, I'm gonna be honest, I don't actually know what these are. Like, the main monitor that I use is an Asus something, and this side monitor here is a Dell something. I don't actually know. I'm gonna be honest, they were just kind of lying around. And when I started actually doing a lot of stuff with my computer, my dad was just like, no one's actually using these. Do you want to use them? Okay. So, that really kind of worked out. I do like this monitor and the fact that it's like I can't actually show any of this because it's over here and all hooked up and everything. But this monitor has input for basically everything. Like VGA, DVI, HDMI, which is what it's using right now. And, this Dell, it's a cheap Dell monitor. Like, it's 1280 by 1024, and it's only got VGA input. I currently have an adapter hooked up for the HDMI output on my video card, hooking it up to that. But, it's not really anything special. It's just some extra screen space. It's really useful when I'm streaming because otherwise the game is going to take up the entire screen and I'm not going to be able to see anything in chat or in OBS, or like if something goes wrong with Twitch, like earlier this week, I was streaming and then the network cut out. And yeah, I wouldn't have been able to see that if I didn't have this extra monitor. But anyway, that's going to be it for this. Just kind of wanted to talk a bit about the new setup, the new the new setup and the equipment in general. All the videos that I have on here, now you actually have a bit of a basis for what equipment I'm using to actually record it or stream it. So, keep enjoying the videos and subscribe to help the channel and see more.